Welcome to the lounge, everyone. My name is Toby Roydell, and today I will not run for president. But we will talk about why I would defend your right to say what I hate. I always wanted to make a video with a cool speaker's desk, but I don't own one. But my friend Kai-Uwe, he owns one, and he allowed me to use it for this video, but he wanted to be a part of it. So therefore, please welcome Kai-Uwe. He will join us for today's video. A famous quote to begin with. I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. This is a famous quote, although a little bit intense, right? By Voltaire and Evelyn Beatrice Hall. And the thing that I'm asking myself right now is, where has this attitude gone? Are there any believers out there left who would dare to say, I don't agree with you, but I'm happy that we live in a country where you can say such controversial things, and you are happy for me that I can express mine. And now let's solve our differences and our problems, as we both agree that our concerns and worries are to be taken serious, and that our points are probably partly valid. Is it so hard? And of course, it seems to be one of the hardest things in life right now for many people. Can't we just reach a point where one side says, yeah, I see what you get, but can I please tell you about my issue with this whole thing? And the other side is like, no, I don't want to hear anything about it because I'm completely right and you're completely wrong and I don't even want to hear a word from you. This doesn't solve anything. People these days think it's a complete contradiction to let someone express their opinion even though you think it's completely wrong. Seems to be a contradiction. You're not in agreement, so the other person shouldn't even be able to express it because it's so wrong. No, it's not. It's called discourse and arguments and normal human conversation. And it comes with this huge anxiety where, oh my God, if I let you speak for too long or let you speak at all, you could come up with a good counter argument to my point. And I can't let that happen. So I need to do one of two things. Number one, I shut you up altogether. I don't give you any room to express yourself. So that you get you and your opinion into the underground, where it exists and radicalizes. That's great. Or I make so much noise that no one can hear what you want to say. And with public demonstrations and riots, this is noise. This is just noise without any arguing and counter arguments and points at all. Because in turn, if I let you speak, you could take people from my side and lure them onto your side, and then I have more enemies out there. If you have a closer look into, or even a superficial look, onto any public debate, this is the fate of it. Either one side tries to shut up the contrary side completely, or they make so much noise and distraction, this is a form of noise, and distraction that nothing gets solved at all. And the media, and all the media does, and this is the place where most of these debates take place in one form or another, via the news or social media platforms or how they ever develop, they have nothing else to say to the whole of this thing as to say, well, we noticed that this country and this population and this folk seems to be quite divided, really divided, as if that would help. And funnily enough, I mentioned the word country a few times right now. In case you're curious of which country I'm speaking of, it doesn't matter, because anyone listening to this video might think he's talking about my country, because it's a thing in almost any country, pretty much. Because we need to think about, was there a country ever which spoke in unison, in complete unison? No. Being divided and having different opinions is part of the democratic concept. You will never have everyone in the same boat. So pointing out that a country is divided or very divided is, in worst case, putting more fuel to the fire, but in best case, it's useless. It's absolutely useless saying that. It's okay pointing out the intensity of how things are escalating. That's okay. Like if there are violent riots or stuff like that, that's okay to point that out and to point fingers and say that that's not okay. This in turn is useful. But just saying that a country is divided is absolutely useless. I mean, on second thought, it's not true. There are countries who really reached this point of in their evolution, like this really progressive point where they really speak in unison. Yeah? We call those countries Russia, China, and North Korea. But let's take a step back. On a very fundamental level, I'm talking about listening to other people and giving other people a chance to express their opinion and how they feel about certain things, and giving the ability to voice some worries and some fears and anxieties. This is what a debate at its core is all about. And another important thing is that I fear that people forget how important it is for individual growth to give other people, to widen your horizon with what other people have to say. And the sum of all the individual growths is the growth of a whole society. Okay, so far so good as the theory goes. To be more specific, I want to quote what Jordan Peterson has to say about this. I will read that out to you because it's really cool. I liked it. It's really useful to investigate the viewpoints of people who have opposing views to yours, because they will tell you things you don't know. They will also tell you how to see the world in ways that you don't see it. And they will also have skills that you don't have, that you could develop. Sounds pretty good, right? And sounds pretty simple. Did I need to take a famous person to read out that quote? No, I didn't, but it sounds good. But it's really simple, and by thinking logically about things, you could come to just that point. Shouldn't be that hard. So why is it that hard? On a very simple level, it just means that you learn something that you are not good at yet, or you learn the opposite of what you're good at. And of course that sucks at first because you can't do it. And the main point that I want to get across here is that you do not need to change as a person, but to adapt your toolkit that you have at your disposal, and tools that you can use, and being more successful by doing that. I'll give you an example. Introverts, for example, tend to be better listeners than people who give really huge motivational speeches. Extroverted people might be quite good at giving motivational speeches, but not so much listening to what the problem actually is. So if you bring those two together and one learns from the other, there is just an improvement on a very basic level. And when it comes to the points of how to see the world, probably there are things that you didn't think of, or some consequences that you at first did not see. But by raising the general level of aggression and that I want to shut you up, that you can't get your point across, there's no willingness on the other side to be expected. So any useful confrontation or debate dies down before it even started. And when people, as I feel like, would realize that they are really not perfect and therefore can't see the whole picture always, if they acknowledge that, they would be way more inclined to have an open ear for what the opposition has to say to a certain topic. Because probably there was just something that was overlooked by your side. So this whole grandiosity of narcissism that lurks behind all of those points is pure arrogance. And we can shut that off by ourselves. One last example. There is this one huge side in society which claims that we need more foreigners. We need more foreigners in our country to support the dwindling workforce, because who should do our jobs in the future that we don't want to do? While the other side claims we already have enough foreigners who do not value our values and doesn't respect our culture, and the only thing they're doing is carrying out the population exchange. So while some of those points might be a little bit off the rails and be a little bit extreme, they have a valid core. And even if there wasn't a valid core, it would be great to acknowledge and to accept that there are fears and anxieties, worries on, in this case, both sides that need to be heard. A huge thing that I first of all need to acknowledge when it comes to this discussion is that it is really, really hard. But even though it is really, really hard, I think it is solvable. And this is not me being a complete optimist, a little bit as well, maybe too, but it is solvable. But we actually right now don't even know if it was solvable, because no side is listening to the other one. We don't even know if it is solvable. We don't even know if someone has a clue and has an idea how to solve difficult society issues and problems like these. We don't know, because we just stopped listening. Both sides are responsible for this. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this whole topic made sense to you and that you see things a little bit like me. And if you don't, I will defend your right to say that too. My name is Toby Roydell, and I will see you again next time here in my lounge. Say bye, Kai-Uwe.